Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Future Justice Talks. I'm your host, and I'm taking Justice Valley and a level one student at 𝐕𝐔𝐒𝐄 Online Academy. Today, I'm very excited because we have a very special guest, Dr. Karena, an amazing educator and researcher who helps young people become great global citizens. Dr. Menzie, welcome to my show, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I really appreciate it. Uh, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and delighted to accept your invitation.
Thank you so much. Uh, First, I would like to ask you that what is the simplest way to explain global competence in to my classmates?
Yes, certainly. I think to boil it down very simply, global citizenship or global competence is a way of viewing the world and connecting with the world. So I like to break it down to three things: knowing, doing, and valuing. So the knowing part is to understand that you are part of a global community. So you're not only part of your own local community, you're not only part of your country community, but you're also part of a bigger global community. And as such, you can contribute to the global issues that we are trying to address. But the other two components of global competence is one, the skills. And by skills, I mean cognitive or thinking skills. So things like being a critical thinker, being able to solve problems, being able to connect with people of different communities. Also, what we call the social emotional skills. So the skills like empathy and understanding. And finally, the valuing or the feeling is that we need to value and respect people of different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, so that we can all work together as a global community.
Wow, it's really amazing. And the last point is also my favorite because I really like to value uh, all the peoples. Yeah, the last you just speak. Okay.
I
So
think it's a very important one.
yeah,
Yes, I
it's
think it's a
also
very important one.
yeah,
Yes.
it's also my too much favorite because it's been my favorite from a long time because I have seen a lot of differences the way people do like so yeah, valuing others is my one of the most favorite one. So with that, I wanted to ask you that what is the one big difference between being a good citizen in your town and a good citizen of the whole world?
Well, this is a really important message I'd like to get across to you and your colleagues. And it's also something that I mentioned to, to my colleagues in education as well, because I think sometimes people think they're two different things: to be a national citizen, whether it's a national citizen of Australia or of your country, and being a global citizen. But actually, to be a good citizen within your own community, to be respectful of other people, to want to contribute to your community, to be a and somebody who contributes, these are exactly the same skills and values that we want from a local citizen, that we want for a global citizen. So the good thing is, if we learn to be a really good citizen, then it doesn't matter whether we're connecting with our school community or our global community, it is still the same knowledge, skills, and values that we need.
Yeah, it is true. Even thought we are uh, in our own town or even in our own house, we need to be a good citizen because when there's no difference, even in the if we are a good citizen in the world or in our town, I think so from the starting, we Just being a good citizen is a good. So it doesn't matter that in the town or in the whole
Yes.
world. So I want to ask you that. Okay, I wanted to ask you that uh, you talk about wicked problems. What is wicked problem, and can a 13 years old girls or boys like me really help solve ones?
Yes, absolutely. Well, firstly, I talk about wicked problems. And what we mean by wicked problems is problems that don't have one simple answer. So things like poverty or food scarcity or climate change, these are what we consider wicked problems because they are not problems that are easy to solve. But to answer the second part of your question, actually, yes, absolutely, a 13-year-old student can contribute. They can't solve poverty all over the world, but they can do their part to help solve poverty within their own little community. Or let me give you an example of a big wicked problem, the sustainability of our oceans, pollution in our oceans. Well, I had the pleasure of working at one stage with schools in Queensland and schools in Gujarat, India. And each of those schools did clean-up projects for their own beach in their own local community. But then we got those schools to talk to each other and to exchange ideas because actually they're all part of the same ocean. So if you stop thinking, oh, I've got to solve these whole global problems, and we think global, but we act local, because all of those little things that we do at the local level contribute to the wicked global issues.
Yeah, it is. So, these problems you tell about, why these are so much hard to solve? Like, why can't we people solve these problems?
Mm. I think one of the things, if we had more people like you than have, then I think these problems would be easier to solve. Because you have to remember, say we were talking about the issue of sustainability. Well, yes, there is the environmental part of sustainability, protecting our environment, looking at pollution. But then there is also the economic part of it. People need jobs. People need to be able to heat their homes. So we might need coal for that. But we know also coal is an environmental problem. Then, of course, we unfortunately don't have a whole world of global citizens. And so sometimes people are more interested in making money than working together to help with things like climate change. So that's what makes them wicked or complicated problems, because there are different people with, shall we say, different agendas, different perspectives, different ideas of what we should do. So unfortunately, we're not on the same page. We're not working together as well as we should be as a global world.
Yeah, these problems are really much hard to solve. And the school I'm also studying in are on, they also want to solve these problems. There are a lot of kids just like me. They also wanted to solve these types of problem. They're day night working on them. And yeah, I really appreciate that you talk on these problems, and it's so good. So I want to ask you, the what is the most important skill you think schools can teach right now? What is that skill?
To me, one of the most important skills that young people can learn at the moment is to be critical thinkers. Now, what I mean by that is, unfortunately, on things like Instagram and Facebook and in the media, there is these days much information which is incorrect. And so people need to be able to not just believe everything that they see in the media or on social media, because there is a lot of misinformation. And sometimes that is because people are just ignorant, they are not understanding the truth. But unfortunately, there is many people out there now who are purposely putting out misinformation. So to me, one of the most important skills that you can learn in school is to question, is to not take all of this information as if it were true. Have a look at another source. Have a look at another media outlet. Have a look at a reliable person in your community and go to them and say, is this true? Is this the facts? Or who can I talk to find more information? If you could learn to do that now while you're in school, I promise it would hold you in very good stead when you graduate and you need to connect with people.
It is. So, uh, so can I ask that right now, schools mostly they are teaching AI and these things because now people are teaching AI. We all have to work on um, social media like platforms like Instagram or YouTube, like Facebook. So in this kind of situation, uh, what is most important skill that we should learn right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, a person that I respect very much in education, a professor called 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗨𝗧, and I actually asked him this question. In this era of AI, what do we need to teach our students? And Professor Zhao said to me, we need to teach them to be more human. And what he meant by this was AI can only collect information from across the internet. It can collect a lot of information very quickly. But as I mentioned to you, some of that information might be correct, some of it might be incorrect. And the thing that AI can't do is it can't know your exact situation. It can't know what it's like in your town. It can't know what's important to the people who live in your town. So it can provide you with information, but you and your colleagues, your classmates, you need to take that information and think, okay, is that right for me? Is that right for my town? Because if not, you might take that information and you might be creative thinkers and think, okay, well, the information that we got from AI, from social media, this was helpful information, but now it's my job to adapt that idea or to change and shape that idea to make it right for my school, for my town, for myself. And that's what I mean about being more human, because AI can't be that beautiful, creative thinker that you can be, that you've been able to create this particular podcast that you're doing.
Yeah, so you tell me so much important thing because I believe AI a lot before, but now I need to be more careful. So I want to ask you that how can students who learn online like me feel more connected to students in other countries? Like we do interviews with other country students, people, and learn from them. So what is deep that we can feel so much easy? I mean,
Yes, yes. Well, I also, my university, 𝐷𝐶𝐶 University, about 70% of my students are online. So I'm very used to teaching and learning in online environments. And I also work with my PhD students who even research in this field. And one of my PhD students is currently looking at what you're talking about, which he calls virtual exchange, meaning those online experiences where you are working with students from a different country, perhaps a different culture, a different religion. And what he has found in his study is that these exchanges actually help to build the types of global competence, skills, and understandings that we are talking about, because you get insights into another culture. And the other thing that he is finding is by sharing information about yourself, your country, your culture, it actually builds pride. And this is again where I'm talking about it's not national or global citizen, because by sharing information about who you are and where you come from, we find that the students have increased pride in their own country because they are explaining it to the students from another country. So you're actually very lucky to have an opportunity to engage with students from different cultures and backgrounds, because it helps to enhance your global competence.
Yeah, it is. And as like our school goal is that we need to connect with other people, other countries' people to learn more from them, and that will and it is good. I also really like that. I search a lot of people online. I want to do interview with them, but it's really hard. People are so much busy this time, and yet I've been trying from last more than 5 to 6 months, and I've just done 7 to 8 interviews. And it's really hard, but it's so much fun to do. So next, I wanted to ask you that if you had to pick one value, like kindness or honestly, what value is most important for a global citizen?
Okay. Your sound is dropping out just a little bit, but I think you were saying what is the most important value? So for me, I think the most important value is empathy. And I describe empathy as putting yourselves into the shoes of another person, trying to understand how they view the world, trying to understand why their culture is important to them. So I think if we can develop empathy, then we can have more understanding of other people. And if the whole world had better understanding of other people, then we would not have a lot of the wicked problems that we are talking about now, because some of those wicked problems come from misunderstandings. Some of these things come from stereotypes of people from the way they dress, or from, the things that they eat, or because their skins are of a different color. These very shallow understandings of people. Whereas we know, as you would have found out when you connect with other students and other cultures online or face to face, we often have so much more in common than we do different. So if we develop that empathy, I think the world becomes a much richer place. And again, you asked me, what can a 13-year-old student do? If you develop empathy for those around you, and the person next to you develops empathy, and the next person passes that empathy on, suddenly we have a much more compassionate world.
Yeah, it is. So, how can we develop empathy?
I'm
Because
so
I
sorry,
learned,
I can't hear.
I said
I
that
have lost
how, yeah, now can you hear me?
you. No, I, I'm not hearing you.
Now can you hear me? Am I audible to you?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to read your lips to see what you're asking me, but unfortunately I've lost your
Now
sound.
can you hear me?
Now I have you back again. Yes, yes,
Yeah, you can hear me? Yes.
yes.
So I want to ask you that how can we develop empathy? Because I have watched a lot of videos and I searched Google online, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Well, the first way to develop empathy is to listen. And I mean really listen, because I always tell people sometimes, let's talk about active listening. Because what I find sometimes in conversations is instead of really listening, people are just waiting for their turn to talk. You know, they're half listening to you and they're half listening to your story, because they're kind of going, oh, because I've got in your head, you're going, oh, I've got another story that I could tell them that is about that sort of same thing. So they're not really listening to what you're saying. So if you want to be empathetic, if you want to develop empathy, the first thing you do is you listen. Really, really listen to what people are saying. The next thing you need to do is to have an open mind, because without an open mind, immediately something might crop up, some information, which is different to my life. So, for example, you might be telling me about fasting in your religion, and my brain immediately goes, oh, I wouldn't want to do that. And I shut down and I don't listen to why you are fasting. Why is it important for you? So that's what I mean by really listening and having an open mind. Because if I have an open mind, and not only an open mind, but a curious mind, then I suddenly want to know more about you. And I want to learn, why are you fasting? Why is it important? When? What time of the year? Suddenly I have more empathy and understanding for both you and your religious practices. So that would mean by two things: actively listening with an open mind and a curious mind. That's how I think we develop empathy.
Yeah, so active listening is one that I hate really a lot, because my school, they always active listening, active listening, active listening. They like just listen to us. Even they don't allow us to ask any question, then it's boring too, because sometimes listening, yeah, but I'm just practicing to do it. And open-minded, I want to be like that, but I don't know why I can't, because the environment around me, people that are really not open-minded, so it's hard to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And the one thing to remember with that is that, yes, not everybody's on the same journey that you are. So be respectful of where they're up to. I always think one thing, and you are demonstrating this beautifully today, is if we be role models for being open-minded, you know, we be respectful. Let me give you an example of this. Again, another person who I consider a mentor and somebody who I've learned from. And this person is 𝗷𝐷𝐄. Now, 𝗷𝐷𝐄 is the founder director of the Center for Environment Education in India. And I went to visit the center. And the first meeting I had with 𝗷𝐷𝐄 was with the executives of a mining company. And I was very confused by this, because here is a man who is a champion of sustainability and the environment. And he was meeting with people who were trying to build a coal mine in my state. And I was thinking, this is environmental damage, not respectful of the environment. And so I said to 𝗷𝐷𝐄, this was an unusual meeting. I didn't expect this meeting. And 𝗷𝐷𝐄 said, too often when we see somebody who we think is closed-minded or has a different mindset to ours, we have to not go against them. Do you know, like go up against them and go head to head and clash and argue. He was explaining to me that is often the way that people approach this. Instead, he explained to me that a company like this mining company is either doing damage to the environment out of ignorance, in which case we need to educate them, or they are doing it for profit, in which case we need to help them to see a different way a more sustainable way to make the profit. So what 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 was teaching me in that moment was, yes, there seems to be these people around us that are more closed-minded, but if we model being open-minded to somebody, even somebody that we think is completely opposite mindset to ours, then suddenly a conversation starts. And one of the most beneficial ways to open people's minds is just to talk to them. Because if we talk to them, they might go, I never even thought of it that way round. So dialogue, conversation, their respectful conversation, like you talk about often in your school, perhaps you don't have the opportunity to ask questions. Well, there are respectful ways of asking it. Don't challenge the teacher in the middle of the classroom, but after the class, you might say, ma'am, I found that very interesting, but I wonder, what about this? Can you see that's a more respectful approach, whether you're dealing with your teacher, a parent, or another elder of your community? It is a very respectful way to kind of open that dialogue, open that conversation.
Yeah, but the thing I like is that when we have question, we need to ask that, because by raising hands, then it will take a lot of time, and the last that question, oh, it's really, then we got like tired, and yeah. But yeah, the way you tell is really good, and the story you were telling right now, it's really inspiring. And I want to ask that, have you visited India like after this happened? I mean, before this happened, you were to
I,
India.
I have had the pleasure of going to India 3 times. One time I traveled to work with the center, and I traveled by myself. The next 2 times, I actually took some of my student teachers with me, and we came and connected with schools in India, predominantly in Gujarat. So I've mostly visited Ahmedabad, which I completely loved. But I also had a friend in Delhi, so I got to visit Delhi. But I was just speaking with my husband recently, saying that when we have time, I'm very, very keen to go back to India because I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, India is the good country, and I really like it. But sometimes I think that that is not good, but sometimes it is my favorite country. So, as you were to the India, I would like to invite you to come to Pakistan, and you can in the Pakistan, this is really best country, because to the Pakistan, Karachi, you can visit Rehan School Kurangi campus. It is the first AI school
Mm-hmm.
in Pakistan, and it's really good school. I'm studying in online, but you can
Wow.
come to the physical, and it's really exciting. You will meet a lot of new students like me. You will have a chance to interview them to learn more. So yeah, you can come to Pakistan too. I would like to invite you. And I think you know Rehan Lawala. If you don't know, so yeah, he is our principal, he is our mentor. So yeah. And with that, I would
Mm-hmm.
like to invite you to the Rehan School Online Academy Saturday gupshup session. In that session, we have different type of peoples, and I would like to invite you too, because in that session you will meet a lot of students, and they will have a lot of questions from you. They will ask each question, and then you will answer them, and you will really enjoy that session. That session is on every Saturday. So if you like to come, you can tell me. With
Well,
that, our
that
interview,
sounds
yeah, it's really sounds good, and I really also enjoyed the session, because every Saturday we have different guests. When you will come, and it will be so good, and yeah, you will really enjoy that. So the
well.
time
I
of
would
our
love to. I
interview,
would be honored to join you.
yeah, yeah, please come, please come. I'm really, I will be waiting for you in that session. I wanted to see you there next Saturday, so hope you can, and you will really enjoy that. So, as our interview is ending, so I want to ask you the last question is, what is the one piece of advice you would give every student who wants to make difference in the world?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's very hard to narrow it down to one piece of advice, isn't it? But I think a very important piece of advice is to be true to yourself, because we can't be respectful and appreciative of other people's cultures and values if we don't have respect for our own culture. So I think always to start with myself, because whether we're talking about big global topics like peace, if you're not peaceful yourself, you can't help with peace in the world. If you're not respectful of your own culture, then you can't be respectful of the cultures of others. So always I say, begin with yourself, because what you project, I always think of Gandhi's work, my life is my work, you know? So what you role model, like you are so wonderfully today, that is what others will learn from.
Wow, it's really, really amazing the advice. And with that, we are going to end our interview. And today's interview is the best interview of my Future Justice Talks. This interview was episode 7, and I really enjoyed this because you make me learn that we need to respect people's culture, religion, and also I learned and I wanted to learn empathy a lot because now I know what why empathy is important and it's so exciting. So thank you so much for this inspiring talk of being a global citizen. And I hope that all our viewers will learn a lot from this. And everyone, this is the time to end the episode. So thank you so much, everyone. See you next time. Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.